one of the other significant developments on the COVID front today concerned questions from business leaders about whether employers could demand that their staff take the jab or could ask new employees at the very least to take the jab. Given the fact that this is all new territory for this country, for the world, business is calling on government or the Fair Work Commission or whoever to devise a set of clear guidelines before any of these vaccines are rolled out. There's not much time left. There's speculation that the Australian Human Rights Commission too may object to any compulsory rule being imposed on employees and the need to be vaccinated. So to unravel this and this new territory, the legalities in particular, I'm joined now by employment expert Emma Dawson of Employsure. Emma, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for having me today.
This is all very new territory, so I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt. I can understand that many of these questions are probably unanswerable, but will it be necessary for Fair Work or the government to come up with a set of guidelines? We've got to have something to work with, don't we?
Yeah, exactly. It's brand new territory, and I think it's going to be very important for guidelines to be provided by the government, for legislation as well to provide some further guidance. What's going to be important to take into consideration is that every business is different, every industry is different as well, and with that there might be different criteria that we need to take into consideration.
Yeah, that's interesting. What might suit a particular sector may not suit the next sector. So this is a really difficult thing to come up with. Could it become a requirement for new employees? Has that got a better chance of being permissible as opposed to forcing current employees to take the jab?
I think what it will come more down to, instead of new employees or existing employees, it will come down to the level of risk associated with an industry. For example, if the business is in a low-risk industry, it's going to be difficult to require employees to get the COVID-19 vaccination. However, if they work in a more higher-risk industry, such as healthcare, childcare, the aged care industry that deals with more vulnerable demographics, legislation might provide that there are certain requirements for businesses to adhere that require it necessary for employees to get the COVID vaccination.
See, people like you and like Employsure would be regularly telling bosses, employers, to make sure that they understand that they have a duty of care to their staff. So if you allow only some of your staff to get the vaccine and not insist on all of them, could you therefore be somehow guilty under workplace laws of not showing responsibility to your duty of care?
Correct. So the risk there would be discrimination risk. Businesses can't just essentially pick and choose who they would like to have vaccinated. It will come down to the health and safety requirements of the business. It will come down to legislative requirements as well. If businesses start selecting specific individuals that they do want vaccinated against others that they do not, our risk would be discrimination claims, and that could potentially result if an employee is disadvantaged or treated unfavourably in the workplace with unfair dismissal claims or general protection claims through Fair Work.
I get a whole heap of emails during the program here, and during the week I've had emails saying, I don't want to be forced to get the jab. I won't take the vaccine, only because they're worried that it's happened too quickly.
Yeah.
Can I ask you this? It could be that once the guidelines are set down, that certain individuals, with the support of the Human Rights Commission in this country, could go and challenge the fact that employers are given the right, presumably they will, given the right to force their staff to get the jab.
Yeah, it will come down to legislation. It's difficult to say at the moment because we haven't got anything legislated. But
so hang on a second. You're saying that it's not just a set of guidelines that will be drawn up. It would have to be legislation and passed by the Parliament to ensure that it works.
Correct. So if it's not in legislation, we can't direct or require employees to get the COVID-19 vaccination. We can set expectations. We can, as business owners, recommend employees to get the vaccination, but we cannot force or direct them to get it. The only time we'll be able to direct and force is in a circumstance where legislation states that based on the industry in which the employee works for, so for example, potentially the aged care industry, that there might be a requirement because of these employees dealing with vulnerable workers for them to have the vaccination.
Yeah, what a minefield and what a difficult thing to get right prior to the rollout. It's almost as if, you know, considering it's new territory, it's almost as if we're too late already.